What I'm looking for in a bank is one that's looking out for me, like NBT. I want a relationship and a team that supports me in my dreams. And when life gets challenging, I need a bank that's focused on what matters. Not to mention one that's been top rated by Forbes in trust, customer service, financial advice, and more. That's why when it comes to meeting my banking needs, it's always NBT. Learn more at nbtbank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome and thanks for tuning in. This is Tom Hickey from 2020 Media, and you are listening to NBT Bank's On the Scene podcast, reaching over 250,000. That's 250,000 readers of the Jewish Ledger, WeHa.com, and West Hartford Magazine, live 24/7, 365. Today, we are joined and pleased to be speaking about romance scams with NBT Bank. We'll get back to them in a minute, but in the meantime, I would first like to introduce my co-host and say hello and welcome to Bob Carr.
Hey, Tom. How's it going today?
Thanks, Bob. How are you?
Well, good. Tom Hickey, along with myself, Kosha McConaughey, and Ronnie Newton, is a founder and owner of WeHa.com. Tom brings to West Hartford the Connecticut Jewish Ledger, West Hartford Magazine, which is West Hartford's original lifestyle magazine. Let's point that out. The various tastes of West Hartford, the best of West Hartford, which recently celebrated its 10th anniversary this past fall, and other fun events throughout the year. Our podcast is assembled and posted by the Modern Observer Group of Middletown, Connecticut. And today our guests are Andreas Kapetanopoulos and Nicole Lent-Pollard from NBT Bank. And I think we want to start off with Andreas. And I guess it's your 1-year anniversary at the branch. Is that correct, on South Main Street?
It is. And hey, Bob, hey, Tom, shout out to you guys. Thanks for having us back. Glad to be here again. And yes, can you believe it's been a year, just over a year since we opened up in downtown West Hartford, right on the corner of Burr and South Main Street. Going fantastic. Victor Gonzalez, our branch manager there, is doing a terrific job getting out in the community, supporting as much as we can, and getting a great response from the folks in town. So happy to be there.
It's a great branch. I've been there a couple of times. I've been to a few events there, and Victor seems to have I would say a twin. I think he does have a twin, right?
Yeah, he does have a twin. Yes,
he goes to all these different events.
If you think,
does he really? I didn't know that.
You see him, maybe that'd be Victor. He's everywhere. He's everywhere in town. So it's great to see him out and see you guys out. I've ran into Andreas at a event for the South Park Inn back, I guess, in December. So
it was, yes.
NBT is very much a community-based bank, and we really appreciate, not only us, but the Rotary, I know, does around, and other folks around town, for your support to various causes and supporting us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we try
to testimony to that. I need to get a plug in for Best of West Hartford, because for the last 2 years, NBT Bank has placed in the top 3 of best bank in West Hartford. So congrats.
And I think the first year we were runner-up, and we didn't even have our branch in town.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure we put the branch in, and we went to number 3. So
That's right. We'll get Victor and his twin clone out there. No problem.
So Tom had mentioned we're doing romance scams, and one of the things that I'm on LinkedIn quite a bit, and we talked about this a little bit earlier off camera or off recording. And I have on a fairly regular basis get requests to contact me, to link in with people, and I almost always link in. I never really think about it. And immediately, the folks who are trying to scam me, I can tell right off the bat. So I get this note back almost immediately telling me that I have a very interesting profile. They'd love to be in contact because we could learn so much from each other. So that's always the key element right there. And if I go past that first response and actually respond, they will say to me, "You want to chat on WhatsApp?" And Nicole had some interesting points about WhatsApp, which I had not. I do not have a WhatsApp account. So at that point, I delete them from my LinkedIn profile and report them. But at the end of the day, WhatsApp seems to be the app they want to use, and Nicole had a reason why for that. So if you can kind of let us know.
Thank you so much, Bob. That was a great example. I love to hear something that we can really use that happened in real life and break it down and kind of understand what those fraudsters are doing to try to get you off of that safe platform. So this can happen, even not in a romance scam setting. So this is a LinkedIn, more of a professional atmosphere. But what these fraudsters are trying to do is to get you to use a different form of communication so that it's not as easily monitored, right? LinkedIn is not going to be able to see your communication anymore. And this can happen often with romance scams on dating platforms, on other social media sites, because they want to get you off of there so that they can control that conversation and they're not going to get kicked off that platform.
Okay, that's interesting. I had no idea with WhatsApp. I know people use it for international stuff, and so I didn't think it was a bad platform. I just didn't realize what the reason behind. Oh, it's always WhatsApp. It's always that one place they want to go for a conversation.
Yeah, there's a few different ones, that we see mentioned. I will say that WhatsApp is a popular one, and just a reminder to everybody, WhatsApp itself is not saying that that's a fraudulent thing to utilize. It's just that when somebody is approaching you on a site that you're using and then asking you to move the conversation somewhere else, that's what the red flag is.
Okay.
So what are the other romance scams that are out there? I mean, mine was more of a business slash. They're always women, but put that out there. It's always women that are contacting me. But what are the other romance scams that are out there?
Yeah, so romance scams as a whole, kind of the same idea, right? You're looking for that companionship, looking to meet somebody. Sometimes we even see that happen where somebody similar to your LinkedIn story may just directly reach out to somebody on a social media platform, maybe even under the guise that, we went to school together, we knew each other before. And really that sense of concern comes in when the conversation shifts and something happens, right? They want you, as we just discussed, to go off that platform. And they start having some different types of conversation that might be surrounded by, right? If it moves to money, that's something to be concerned about. If they're starting to isolate you from friends or family, something else to be concerned about, right? They want to be that one in control of the conversation so that you don't have somewhere else to go and talk to somebody that you trust and say, hey, I met this great person. Here's the things that are going on, because they're going to help you to really work through that and understand it's a scam. And now it's over, right? Now the fraudster isn't going to be able to get to you anymore because you've let somebody know and they've talked you through why this might be too good to be true.
Gotcha.
I mean, one of the things that you said earlier, Nicole, that I probably because I'm not dating, but one of the things I had never thought about was how popular this type of a romance scam would be in dating apps.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's so many different dating apps out there. And again, just like WhatsApp, not saying that the dating apps themselves are concerning. It's about who is contacting you on there and what they're trying to get you to do and what they're trying to say. Some different things you want to be on the lookout for. What's their profile look like? Is it too good to be true? There's celebrity ones, right? There's romance scams for celebrity. Do you think you're talking to, some famous celebrity and they are interested in dating you? That could be, definitely a concerning red flag. Does that seem likely? What's their profile look like? How long has it been active? How many friends do they have? If you're their only friend, that's definitely a concern that they've just set up this profile. One of the things that we try to educate on for romance scams is that what can happen is these fraudsters are good. Okay. So you're on a dating app, you're looking for that companionship. It doesn't work out. You see it changes to money. You stop talking to that person, but you're still on that app because you are looking for a companion. What that fraudster can do, they just go spin up a whole new profile and they start contacting you, continuing, and they already know what you like. Right now they reach out to you and they say, oh, hey, I love long walks on the beach. And you say, oh, me too, right? They already know these things about you. Maybe they've had that conversation with you before. They're just pretending to be somebody new. And it's just a new fraudulent situation. So that's what can be really concerning is you keep that profile up there. They might keep coming for you. So you have to, pay attention to what those red flags are when they start changing that conversation or asking you to communicate offside that platform.
Yeah, do you get off that site and go on to a different one, or do you just change your profile?
You don't even have to necessarily change your profile, but just be careful about who is reaching out to you. Don't engage with those conversations when you see that it's a brand new profile. That picture, are they, a very highly decorated military person, right? Are they taking that picture from somewhere else? Do you see that picture somewhere else on the internet, and those kind of pieces to give you those clues that maybe this isn't a real person you're talking to, or just not who they're claiming to be.
So one of the things that, I use this when I'm also an administrator of my high school class. I'm an administrator on the Facebook profile. And one of the things that we run into quite often is people trying to join who are not part of our class, right? So it's relatively easy to find that out. But one of the things that recently happened, as administrator, they looked almost too good to be true. And I went out and looked at their Facebook profile. And you can't do that, right? So you look at and then find out that there's nothing about that profile that looks real. Like there's not enough content. And the same thing with LinkedIn. If someone on LinkedIn doesn't have they've never posted anything, if they've never liked or shared anything, it's very unusual on these platforms not to have any history, especially if you're an older, like, somebody in their 50s or 60s or whatever, not to have any profile information. So we,
Did you just call us old? Did I just miss that?
Yeah, we're all old. Yeah, not Nicole. Nicole's not, but the rest of us.
Well, thanks for that, Bob. So something to kind of help with that, with the groups and having people join. I've noticed that for some of the different groups that I might join on a social media platform, they'll ask the questions, right? They'll ask you kind of what your zip code is, or to answer some questions based on whatever the group is about, right? So you might be able to, if it's for a class reunion or something to that effect, you might be able to ask some questions that somebody who would actually be part of that group would know, to try to help weed out people who aren't really supposed to be there. Correct.
We do that, and I also we put their names out into a marketplace. But again, if we're back to the romance piece, similarly, if it's too good to be true, if it's a name of nobody has ever heard of, and then you go look for the person and find out there's not a lot of data behind them, they're probably not who they say they are. Which is what your point was earlier. It's a concern that we all have, right? Are you talking to someone who's really a person? Are they an AI creation? Are they some sort of scam artist? And you have to worry about that in any organization that you have, if they're trying to get into that group, and either personally or into a group, and try to take advantage of the folks that are there.
Absolutely. It's really another one of these things with most types of scams, is that anyone can become a victim, right? There's not necessarily a specific targeted group of victims out there. Anyone who is looking for a companion, anyone who maybe has been recently widowed, people who are living alone and looking for that companionship. So those can be targets for it, but really can happen to anyone, because we even see romance scams start out similar to what Bob had talked about with LinkedIn. Maybe people are just even reaching out again under the guise that they've known you before, or they were friends, trying to start up that conversation. And you might not have even been looking for somebody, and now you're finding yourself enjoying talking to this person, continuing that conversation, but it starts turning to some of those things, to send money, or asking you to do favors for them, bringing things to the bank to deposit checks and send them money, any of those kind of pieces where something just sounds out of the ordinary, things that you wouldn't normally do, setting up accounts on other platforms to send money externally that you wouldn't ever have used before. And they'll walk you right through it, right? They're going to stay right there on the phone with you, tell you exactly how to sign up for these things, and really try to get as much out of you as they can.
Wow.
Yeah, some of the scariest stories I've read in like say the New York Times are about people who have given away or have lost millions of dollars. And oftentimes, just to speak to Andreas on this, they'll go into a bank branch and they'll try to get money out, and then the bank and the branch people will do their best to prevent them from doing it. Right? The branch folks recognize it's not a normal transaction, and I think we had that conversation earlier where how does that relationship with that bank help a person avoid being scammed?
Yeah, such a good question. Andreas, did you want to take that?
No, that's fine. Jump in.
Okay. Just such a great question, right? You want to make sure that you're having those open conversations, and as a customer, what I would ask is to make sure that you are being open and honest with your banker about what's going on. So if questions are asked for additional verification, clarification, to make sure that your money is going where you want it to go, that you would respond with the true answer. What happens in a lot of situations is that people are being coached what to say and what to tell your financial institution. And it's not the true story of what's going on. So a romance scam, they might want you to send money to them, but they may want you to say that you're getting your house repaired or it's for a new roof. You know, if somebody is asking you to lie to your bank, that's a red flag right there.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
Excellent. Okay. I can't think of anything else to ask about now. I'm a wreck, but thank God I'm not on any of those romance apps. Thank God I've been married for 38 years.
So are there things we missed here? I mean, if Andreas or Nicole, the things that we've missed in this conversation that you think that people should know about? I mean,
there are so many scams out there, and the romance scams are one piece of it, but just it's the vigilance. It's the constant vigilance that you have to be out there. And just like I always say, think before you click on any links. And just like Nicole says, step back and take a breath and think about what the other person on the other end is asking from you before you just kind of blurt it out or give them the information.
So if Julia Roberts contacts me and wants to date me.
I never thought about LinkedIn. I never thought about the dating apps. I mean, so you're all right, Andres. It's everywhere. It's everything. Just have to think of, what you're, it's almost like, and I'll just use this analogy, on my cell phone, if I don't recognize the phone number, or the person's name, I don't pick it up.
If it's important, they'll leave a voicemail.
Exactly.
Yeah. So don't feel like you have to just friend request everybody if they're sending it to you on Facebook or another social media platform. If you don't know them, you don't need to just accept that request and start having that conversation.
Yeah. Great.
Well, that's true. So last thing here is, and this happened a lot when texting first started, where you'd accidentally text someone and then you can almost get into a conversation with them. But now people use that. I've had that happen where I'll get a text and I know, and I'll say, hey John, or hey Fred, or whatever. And I feel badly. And Fred or John may not get their actual text, but I never respond to those, saying that I'm not either one of them, right? Whereas back in, when I first had a smartphone 15 years ago, I probably did respond because it was probably, an error.
Right.
But, now that's more prevalent, right? Where people will text you to cheat you.
It could be the ploy, right? It could be social engineering, and they're trying to use text messaging to get a hold of you and have that guise that they're just, accidentally wrong number and kick off that conversation.
Yeah. Amazing. All right. Well, we will all make sure that we are more diligent in everything that we are doing and paying attention, regardless of whether it's romance scams in February or any kind of scam. So thank you, Nicole and Andreas, for sharing your knowledge and your information with us today. And most importantly, I always end our podcast by thanking our presenting sponsor, who also happens to be NBT Bank. So thank you for supporting us as well and being able to present this to the community. We will look for all of you next on The Scene.
Thank you.
What I'm looking for in a bank is one that's looking out for me, like NBT. I want a relationship and a team that supports me in my dreams. And when life gets challenging, I need a bank that's focused on what matters. Not to mention one that's been top rated by Forbes in trust, customer service, financial advice, and more. That's why when it comes to meeting my banking needs, it's always NBT. Learn more at nbtbank.com. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.